Welcome to another exciting episode of the Protect series on ClubTV.in, where we bring you inspiring innovators from around the world whose work is making a significant impact on businesses and transforming lives. Today, we are honored to have with us Mr. Ignacio de Medrano Caballero, a visionary whose contributions are helping shape a better future.
Yes, hello, my name is Ignacio de Medrano. As it's been just said, I'm a Spanish, work for the European Union, in particular the European Union Intellectual Property Office. This is an agency based in Spain, in a small city called Alicante, in which our competence is to protect the brands, the trademarks, and the designs from companies all over the world that they come to trade and to sell their products or render their services in Europe. So in order that they have the protection and that they can, let's say, with these intellectual property rights, trade all over the 27 member states without any problem and having the protection granted by the titles that we gave once the protection is given by the office. This is very similar to what, for instance, the Indian IP offices does. The only difference is that in our case, the protection is not only for a single country, it's a protection that covers all over the European Union, so the 27 member states. This is, I think, important to be known by those companies, those startups in India that currently maybe they are just considering the domestic market, the Indian market, but that at a certain stage they will be thinking about exporting their goods, providing their services in Europe. So to know that it will be extremely important before landing in Europe to protect their assets, to protect their brands, in order to not have any conflict and to be based there, grow in this internationalization, and in particular to Europe with the base of solid IP rights protected in the Union.
And how they can protect which online platform where they can enroll themselves. Would you like to put light on it?
Sure. This the way on which we protect at the EUIPO, at the European Intellectual Property Office, is quite simple. Everything can be done online with a very simple, let's say, procedure that it is in few steps. You can have and provide all your data in order to protect your trademark and your design. There is also, and this is something that we are discussing now here in India, the possibility, or we are discussing with organizations as CII, that we are here on this event with them, how these organizations can also support and provide information to startups and SMEs in India in the case that they will need or they are looking at the European market. In particular, I would like to focus on how to protect designs, that it is something quite important considering the Indian companies have a lot of creativity and a lot of design that will be in very different sectors. Just give me the ones that we have been looking at. Textiles, it is something that since 100 of years been developed as a tradition in India, and it is getting more and more knowledge in export markets, and this was something that we are looking at it already at the streets and on the shops in Europe, and all these creators that are designing new clothing or new shapes for goods, and this is something that it is extremely easy, I would say not expensive, to have this protection just with this filing that can be done online. If it goes under a fast-track procedure that it is existing, in 2 days, the company will know if this design has been protected, and the ratio of protecting is more than 9%. So there's very few cases in which there is, let's say, an objection by the office not to protect. And this is something in which after the company can, of course, base all their growth. Also something that I was mentioning before on my speech, also trying to get some financing because of and trying to go to the financial institutions in the development of their company based on the intellectual property rights. So this is something that not only we are insisting very much on with the financial institutions that they should try to look on the development of the companies based on their intangible assets, not only giving guarantees, giving collaterals based on tangible assets, because now the world has changed. And this is very important to note that most of the developments in the next years are going to come on things that are not tangible as such. And those elements are, most of them, be able to be protected by intellectual property. And that's why it is important to show that there is a protection and to give a guarantee to the banks in order to receive that financing, that the intangible assets have a protection and has let's say a solid basis based on how this has been granted by an EU in the EU by the IP office. Something also important is the brand. Of course, I mean, this is the sign that allow us to be known by the public, by the consumers in the new market that we arrive. No one is able to identify any product or any service if we don't have a brand that allow us to distinguish it in the market and to, let's say, to develop all the goodwill of the product based on that trademark. This is how it's been for years, and this is something that has to be taken into consideration, that at the moment of launching products in a export market, it's needed to be protected. We see that Indian companies for the time being are heavily using the Indian IP system. There is just a data last year, 500,000 of applications in the Indian IP office from companies protecting in the domestic market. However, these companies, or many of them, they are startups, still are not going abroad. They are not exporting. We think that this is going to come. All the analysis said that there is a huge potential in India of companies that at a certain stage will go out of the Indian market and will start to export. And of course, we consider that the European market can be a very attractive market for those companies. At that moment, it will be, again, very important before landing in Europe to protect their brands in order to be saved once the products will be start to be put on the market, or the service rendered in the different countries.
What are the charges startups has to pay to protect their brand in Europe?
For protecting a trademark in the 27 member states for 10 years, a trademark, you have to pay 900 euros. It's not much. And for designs, this is even cheaper. For design, for a protection of 5 years, is 300 euros.
Thank you for sharing, sir. And my next question to you, would you like to share one business case study which making a significant impact in your career?
I've been working for many years in international cooperation. So let's say explaining in different parts of the world about the benefits of the systems and of the intellectual property systems. For many years, I've been based in Southeast Asia, in particular in Bangkok, covering all the countries, all the ASEAN countries. What I've been proud of, or let's say as a business case, is that the IP systems in Southeast Asia, that they were just starting to be developed. There was not so many companies that they were using. For instance, something that it is also now becoming very important is geographical indications. So products coming for a specific territory, and that because of that, let's say, link to the territory, they have a premium value. Darjeeling tea is a good example. So what we did is, with this association of producers, to convince them that having their name protected as a geographical indication, that this is another intellectual property right. They were able to export their reputation, the reputation of the product, and to have an added value. And this is something that I think I'm proud of, because this has helped many communities to consider and to identify products that they were important to be known in the sport markets, and to have this added protection that giving a quality label to the products that they were commercializing.
Would you like to share one book or movie which can lead startups?
How important is to understand the cultures, the different cultures when you are a startup and you are going to let's say, to enter in a new market, and how you have to adapt in some way, not your product, but the way in which you present your product. I mean, we know that the world is small, but at the same time is big, and we have many different traditions. And I think something that, let's say, the companies should book that I really recommend on the diversity of the cultures is to study a little bit before you are going to a new market. What are the elements that are important? What are the sensibilities that have to be taken into consideration by the company at the moment on which to the consumers, and what are the consumers perceiving as an important element? Cultural diversity, how to tackle it.
Thank you for your time, sir, and it's been a pleasure to talking to you. Thank you.
Stay tuned with ClubTV.
Yeah. That was Mr. Ignacio de Medrano Caballero sharing valuable insights into intellectual property in the EU27 region. If you are looking for to secure IP rights in Europe, he's the expert to speak to, and his company is ready to support you every step of the way. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Spotlight series on ClubTV.in. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you stories of innovations, impact, and inspiration from around the world. See you in the next time.